Topic 1. Fed's rate decision and Kevin Warsh's debut. The Federal Reserve is very likely to keep its policy rate at 3.5 to 3.75%, amid inflation well above 2% and robust employment, with no signal of a hasty rate cut. Kevin Warsh will preside over his first FOMC meeting and hold his first post-meeting press conference, and markets will focus intensely on his tone about the rate path and any communication changes. Expect the committee statement to drop easing language like additional adjustments, shift to more neutral or hawkish wording, and weaken hopes for near-term cuts. Warsh is also inclined to curtail forward guidance and may withhold submitting a personal dot for the dot plot. He plans to reduce public forecasts and pressers, which could lower transparency and risk market confusion, while background factors, falling oil on U.S. TAT, Iran hopes, and strong retail sales versus energy-driven price pressures leave the rate outlook uncertain. Politically, Warsh was a Trump nominee but will face constraints from colleagues and incoming data, and Powell remains a voting board member. Topic 2. SpaceX options debut, stock drop, and bond market watch. SpaceX's options debut showed extreme volatility. Option implied odds priced about a 15% chance of another 50% gain by September and a roughly 13% chance of a 50% fall, with implied volatility near 120 and heavy call volume among the busiest trades that day. Large call and put flows are being read as hedges against lockup selling, astronomical valuation concerns, and cooling initial hype, and the firm's post-IPO market cap and index inclusion mean many passive funds will be forced to hold it, raising worries about market distortion, even as index flows could boost liquidity over time. Overall, investors see excitement and narrative driving prices, while fundamentals must prove themselves over years. Meanwhile, Treasury yields were relatively steady, 10-year about 4.435%, 2-year about 4.066%, as markets await Warsh and the Fed's signals on inflation and rates. Topic 3. AI protectionism and model access at the G7. AI access and frontier AI risks dominated the G7 agenda in Evian, with CEOs from OpenAI, Anthropic, and DeepMind joining leaders to discuss frontier risk, infrastructure, sovereignty, and youth protection. The U.S. ordered restrictions on foreign access to Anthropic's Fable 5 and Mythos 5, prompting Anthropic to suspend access to those models for all customers while it complies, a move that prompted allied concerns about U.S. protectionism and boosted calls for digital sovereignty and regional AI capability building. Policymakers discussed voluntary company commitments that could become de facto global norms, and prediction markets price a fairly rapid restoration of U.S. access to Anthropic models. Kalshi and Polymarket show majority probabilities for restoration in early July, while Anthropic is meeting with U.S. officials, but outcomes remain unclear. Topic 4. Strait of Hormuz, Iranian tankers, and a 12-point U.S.-Iran plan. 2 Iranian state-linked supertankers, Diona and Hero 2, carrying about 3.8 million barrels in total, slipped past a U.S. maritime perimeter, and a third linked tanker carrying about 1 million barrels also departed, marking the first major departures in 2 months. Reports say the U.S. and Iran agreed a Geneva MOU with 12 key points, ranging from expanded ceasefire provisions, partial recognition of Iran's role in managing the Strait of Hormuz, temporary sanction waivers for oil sales, a 60-day safe passage guarantee for commercial ships, to talks on nuclear and enrichment issues, though final formal signature is pending. Until formal signatures and operational guarantees exist, the U.S. Navy maintains its blockade posture, insurers continue to charge war risk premiums, and many ship owners remain cautious. Analysts like Kapler say a post-signing surge of departures is possible, but true. Sustained normalization will require political, insurance, and port assurances. Topic 5. Corporate deals and defense collaboration. GM and Lockheed Martin agreed to cooperate to